That's what I call pro talk. When you really don't know the answer, you just make it up.
My rut is that I am in a rut.
To get the pilot of Red Arrow going. This is really a way to skip class.
I want to say, hey, those boys right there are entertainers.
There you go. That's the nicest thing anybody's ever said on this podcast.
Alex Rutledge here with American Roots Outdoors TV.
Hey, this is Lee and Tiffany Lukoski from the Crush TV.
Hi, I'm Don Higgins.
This is Jeff Lindsay.
Hey, everybody, this is Mark Drury with Drury Outdoors.
Hey, this is Craig Fitz of Trained Assassins TV. You're listening to Dave and JP on Pro Talk Outdoors, the craziest two I know.
Man, your day on Saturday was pretty stinking awesome. The video of that burn you did at Don Higgins' place. Well, you didn't. You videoed at Don Higgins' place. Was just awesome.
Well, you didn't even see the good stuff. You just saw what I did with my cell phone, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen the good stuff.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we got some really cool stuff.
And I don't mean to sound like a pyromaniac, but it just looked really cool because you could, you seriously, just from your cell phone video, you could tell that thing was set up to burn a certain way in a certain spot. And I mean, it looked geometrical almost.
It was really cool. Let me first say, before you ever plan on starting a burn, a prescribed burn to help out your food plots or anything on your properties, make sure you take these precious steps. Number one is call your local fire department and let them know you're going to be doing a burn. That way...
That step wasn't checked off Saturday?
Well, that way... Well, there was a neighbor that didn't know we were burning, and even though we were completely...
No, he knew you were burning.
Oh, well, yeah, prior to, anyway. He didn't know. But that's those things that, you want to make sure you do that. And then, secondly, just have a good plan in place and make sure that you are burning into the wind. Basically, and then once you've got a good fire break, then you can go to the other end of the field and light it and let it go and basically take out the rest of the field. And that's kind of what we did on Saturday.
And what kind of research, and I know you're not the resident expert on it, but I mean, where can somebody go to find out information on how to do a proper fire break? I mean, that's really important.
Well, I'll tell you, we're going to have some of that information coming out for everybody to check out. We'll be putting out some good information along with a detailed video and exactly how you can make sure you take the proper steps and do it safely and make sure you take care of everything, and also to highlight the importance of doing those things. One of the things that we talked about a little bit on Saturdays, we were burning off switchgrass. Same thing could be said for any kind of native grasses, but it's important. You think about it like a lawn. It's important for you to mow your lawn on a regular basis, otherwise it's going to get overtaken with weeds that you don't want to be there. Same thing with a native grass field or a switchgrass field. If you don't do a prescribed burn every 2 or 3 years, then you're going to have some weeds take place, and they're going to start choking out the grasses that you actually want there. And if you don't burn them off, then sooner or later it's going to be just a field full of weeds that you don't want.
I won't lie, I feel kind of ashamed for that just alley-oop. Oh, where can you learn more about prescribed burns?
Yeah.
Should I be ashamed of that?
Not at all.
Plugging ourselves here. But hey, if you're tuned into this, you're probably tuned into some of the stuff we do on YouTube or we do on our Facebook channel or any of that kind of stuff. In a Rut, Pro Talk Outdoors. We hope you follow all that kind of stuff. But hey, we've got a good podcast coming up. We got our buddy Brennan from Breaking Point TV. We'll be back. You're listening to Pro Talk Outdoors.
Hey guys, before we get to the interview, a quick word. As seasons begin to progress, spring is here, turkey season's right around the corner for a lot of people. Some people are already out in the woods. Time to get out on those lakes and start fishing a little bit. Something that's very handy and necessary is a good quality cooler. And you won't find any better coolers available for the price than Glacier Coolers. Be sure to go to glaciercoolers.com to check out. Simply put, these are the best coolers that you will ever have. And be sure to put on there on the promo code PROTALK. Whenever you're checking out, it'll save you an additional 20% on all your purchases. Again, that's glaciercooler.com. Be sure and check them out. Use the promo code PROTALK.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Pro Talk Outdoors. JP and Dave bringing it to you with Brennan Nading of the Breaking Point. Brennan, one thing we talked about in the opening of this show was a little bit about prescribed burns and different things you can do for food plots and just for your property in general to get it ready. And this seems to be a good time of year to do those kind of things. People haven't really planted their spring plots yet, but they're still trying to get things ready, mow them down, get them sprayed, soil tests, all that kind of stuff. What is it that you like to do the most, and what have you seen the best results with when it comes to doing your food plotting?
Well, I on a lot of the plots that I'm running down here in Iowa, I do a lot of clover food plots. And the one particular farm that I hunt on, the landowner prefers that I am not going in there and tearing up the soil every year. So I got to tear it up probably 5 years ago, and I got a good clover plot established. And this time of the year is when I like to get in there. Actually, a couple weeks ago would be even more ideal. Get in there and do some frost seeding. And over time, frost seeding those clover plots, year after year after year, over time it just becomes an immaculate food plot for the deer. That's probably my go-to food plot down here in Iowa anyway. Up in Wisconsin, when I hunt up there on the family farm, we did, the corn, the beans, the brassicas, and stuff like that. But down here, with the land that I'm hunting on, clover is my number one, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and we've got several different types of properties that we food plot also, and I've kind of noticed that anytime that we've got a farm that, or maybe a certain plot that is maybe a little more difficult to get to, it's harder to get equipment into, it's a little easier to go ahead and establish that thing in some clover. And Real World's got a really nice blend. We use clover chicory in, and
Yep.
It's nice to be able to go back and just kind of frost seed that stuff once a year, and
Yep.
Go back maybe once or twice and do a mowing for maintenance purposes. And
Absolutely.
it's kind of nice to not have to do everything that you have to do with some of those other fields. So we've been doing that quite a bit as well.
Well, Brennan, I got another question for you, man. Obviously, you mentioned clover is kind of your go-to. Are you seeing good results with clover in terms of turkey season as well? Is that a good strut area for you, and do you see the activity that you would want?
I hunt, to be honest, in Iowa. I'll hunt maybe 2 days during the turkey season. The bulk of my spring I'm spending up in Wisconsin hunting with my buddies Mike and Dylan, also partners in business. Mike's got the run of a lot of ground up in Wisconsin, and we've got an awesome turkey camp right on the Wisconsin River. But the trail cameras are out in the springtime, and certainly those clover food plots down here, I get a ton of birds on the cameras, no doubt about it.
Now, you say you hunt 1 or 2 days there in Iowa. Is that because you're usually tagged out in 1 or 2 days, or?
Typically, yes. Well, how the Iowa season's structured, you can shoot 2 birds. One of them can be from the first 3 seasons, and then the last one has to be in the last season. And how the seasons lay out, the first 3 are like, I think the first one's like a Monday through a Friday or Wednesday through they're weird seasons. And how they're structured, I'll usually buy the second season because it hits a weekend, and typically I can shoot a bird in the 2 days, and then that last one I'll buy, and I'll typically shoot a bird real close to my house here that I have to stare at all spring long on my way to and from work.
Well, so you have to buy, the way that Iowa lays out then, I guess, for turkey season, so you have to buy a specific tag for each season. It's not like it's good for the year. And
Correct. See, they have 4 seasons, and the first season I want to say is like 5 days. I want to say it's a Monday through a Friday, but I could certainly be wrong. Then the second season is going to be 5 days, but the second one actually includes a weekend. And then the third one's similar, like another 5 or 6 day season. And then the fourth one is like a month long. So you can buy 2 tags. If you want to do archery only, you can hunt the entire season with archery. If you want to fill 2 tags with archery right away, you can. But if you're going to hunt with a gun, 1 of your 2 tags has to be for that late season. It's weird.
Wow, yeah, that's stuff that we're not accustomed to. Hunting in Indiana and Kentucky, usually for turkey season, there's no archery only season for any one of those any of those states there, but that's
Yeah.
one thing. We're getting ready to go on a trip out to northwest Nebraska and hunt
Nice.
the.
Where at?
Yeah, we're going to hunt the public ground, and hopefully we'll find some private ground to hunt. We're going to knock on some doors, but we're going up to the northwest part of the state around Chadron, and
Oh yeah,
gonna do
we've
some
been up there.
Yeah, we're going to do some filming on some public ground up there.
Nice. Yeah,
See-
we hunt. If you guys are ever interested in private contact, we can discuss that
Well, yeah,
off air. But
we will
yeah.
definitely do that.
The
off
answer is
air.
yes.
Absolutely, right up in the Rushville area. So right where you guys are going.
Super.
For sure.
Absolutely, man. That'd be dynamite. That's kind of one of those things, man. Being as new in the filming game as what we are with our series In a Rut, it's like there's a lot of things that we didn't know, and so like whenever I plan an out-of-state trip, like, we were planning on going up there to Nebraska, first thing I'm doing is I'm like, I'm pouring over stuff online and I'm calling to the local, Game and Parks Agency there in Nebraska and calling the United States Fish and Wildlife Service and even talk to a local game warden, and it's like there's a lot of different regulations that, you have to be kind of accustomed to. And my dumb question was, because I love flying drones over for footage, so I'm like, can I fly a drone over? And they're like, are you an idiot for asking that? No way, you can't fly a drone over on public land. What are you thinking? And I'm like, well, I thought it was a fair question. I'm not trying to do it to gain an advantage hunting, I'm just trying to get the footage.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, Brennan, I want to ask you before we get off of turkey, do you notice a difference in bird behavior between where you hunt in Iowa and where you hunt in Wisconsin? Or do you see a difference maybe more in a wider spread, like if you were to go to the south or the far east?
Haven't been east a whole lot turkey hunting. I have been down to Florida, and I will say that we are very fortunate, from what I can tell, to be hunting easterns because they are by far, in my experience, the funnest birds to hunt. As far as aggressiveness, I think across all the species, I think that earlier in the year, typically you're going to see a lot more aggression in the birds, especially the flocked up, younger toms. As the season moves forward, I think, with hunting pressure especially, those birds are a little more timid. Been called to, probably been shot at by a few people. But yeah, I mean, I feel very fortunate as a turkey hunter to be living where I do because these easterns are where it's at. They come in screaming.
Let me ask you this: have you hunted the Merriams out there in Nebraska? Or
yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yep.
How would you rate a Merriam? I've heard some guys say some things about Merriams, like, I don't even want to say this about a turkey because it seems disrespectful, but almost like they're a little bit, maybe lower on the IQ scale and a little easier to hunt. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I don't know. I would almost categorize it like whitetails and mule deer. Okay, so like a whitetail obviously doesn't tolerate much of anything. If they see a human, they're gone. A mule deer, if they see something or something startles them, they run out 50 yards and they stop and look back. Like, I would kind of throw it in a category like that. Merriams by no means are stupid, and anyone that tells you that they're stupid hasn't hunted them long enough, and they probably had a gimme hunt, and that can happen with any kind of turkey species. But I don't know. I feel like Merriams are fun to hunt, but their gobble, I mean, there's just something about an eastern gobble compared to, I mean, you know what a Jake gobble sounds like.
Is that
that's
probably
what
a
Tom
Merriam
gobble sounds like when you're hunting Merriams. And I feel like, when you're communicating with turkeys back and forth, that gobble of an eastern just does something to you.
I wish you could have heard before we started recording. Dave was actually gobbling into the microphone. We were practicing a few turkey calls that we got in today.
It didn't sound good.
Banging the boss, hooking us up. But no, it didn't. He sounded horrible. He said, man, I really think I sound like a turkey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sound pretty good singing in the shower too. But
But Brennan, changing gears here a little bit. I know we talked a little bit about some projects that you and I are working on, all of us working on a little bit here in the future that we haven't released yet. So we'll just tease that and let everybody see that when it comes out. But I do want to ask you, just on the conservation side, and you guys work with Sitka gear too, correct?
Yes, sir.
Hey, what is it about the ethos of that company that appeals so much to the guy that wants to really get into conservation?
I guess I'm gonna need a little more specific direction here on the question.
Well, yeah, I'm going to ask you this, JP. What does ethos even mean?
Well, I guess what is it about like the core values of that company that really steers itself naturally to the guy that wants to conserve the outdoors and not just go out and shoot something?
Oh, absolutely. Sitka, I mean, they are rooted. I mean, the guys in their office are conservation guys. They are guys that are out hunting. They're the guys that are spending as much time in the outdoors as anybody. And for them to be behind the company speaks for itself. I mean, a lot of companies are ran by people that went to school for business, and these guys they're rooted for the outdoors. That's what they love. And when you're passionate about what you're doing at work, it shows in your work, and that's exactly what comes out of every piece of Sitka gear.
So do you think that's more of like almost a bottom-up approach? So like start yourself with the right kind of folks and then let the company and the ideals and the growth come afterwards?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you put the right people in the right positions, and growth just happens, and they surround themselves with great people. And great ideas come from great people. For sure.
Well, I noticed, you kind of shift gears there on me a little bit, JP. I want to go back to turkeys a little bit.
Okay.
I'm still kind of ripped up about these, Nebraska turkeys and kind of figuring these suckers out. So I want to ask this question, Brennan. When you go out there, okay, so you got to realize when you're talking to me, you're talking about somebody that's completely ignorant on Nebraska turkey hunting. Okay, I've drove through the state like a couple times. What can I expect? What can I expect to run into whenever I just get out there in that area? And I mean, what would be your approach? If you were me, would you start like the first day you get there? Would you just try to spend time glassing fields and trying to see where flocks of birds are at and trying to...
What time of the year are you guys going?
We're actually going out for the early archery, so we're going to be going out, the first week.
Okay, yeah, that's what we've done in the past also. Like I said, we hunted private ground, so I can't imagine what you guys are getting into or where you're going or exactly what, but at least from our experience, they've been very grouped up that time of year, late March, and it wasn't uncommon to run into a group of 15 to 20 gobblers. And to be honest, we didn't see a lot of hens early in the year. We have hunted out there in May, and it was a little tougher, but that time of year we were seeing big flocks of toms, big flocks of them. We've had 20 gobblers at the decoys before, all strutting. It's pretty wild.
So as far as you mentioned decoys, so we're going to obviously be hunting out of blinds, because it's archery only. What type of decoy setup did you go with? I mean, did you find the most success with? Was it just, did you put a strutter out? Did you put like just hens? What exactly did you go with?
We have been and we have an affiliation with Flambeau Outdoors, who just bought this decoy, but we used this decoy long before they even had it, and we had any partnership with them. We used the spin and strut decoy.
Yeah, I saw some of that on some of your videos.
That decoy is unbelievable. I mean, you run it off fishing line, and when you pull on that string, that decoy goes it spins around and goes in and out of strut. And, I mean, it's pretty incredible decoy. And we'll usually run that early in the year. We'll run that with, 2 hens. I typically don't ever use more than a couple hens. A lot of the time I'll only use a single hen. But earlier in the year, usually a couple hens, 1 feeder, maybe a breeder, and then the spin and strut.
Okay. I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking we would get into. Maybe just put out maybe a breeding hen and a strutting bird, but...
Yeah, definitely.
And how long in Nebraska for Merriams are you hanging tight before you try to change location? So, maybe do you scope out a couple different setups and have blinds in various spots and give it 2 hours and then decide you want to move? How do you calculate that decision?
Really, we're the type of guys that if it ain't happening, we're moving. That said, when you're turkey hunting and you're using ground blinds, obviously it's a little more of a pain in the ass to pack up shop and move somewhere. So we tend to sit a little bit longer when we got, ground blinds and and all that stuff to move. But we'll sit 2-3 hours in a spot, maybe. And if nothing's happening, we're not hearing anything, we'll try to find birds from the truck or, drive around and get eyes on birds. And if we ain't seeing anything out anywhere, we'll just, go do a blind setup and see what happens.
That's kind of what I anticipated us getting into right there. So that's some good information.
Well, I mean, it couldn't be any different than the last 2 years when we rode around in the boat trying to find fish. So now instead, you're going on a different trip, and we're just going to go find birds this time, right?
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up, man.
So, Brennan, obviously, rolling into this time of year, you've wrapped up a good bit of your video portion, and you guys are working on stuff for the coming year. What can folks expect to see this season that you're willing to tease or would like to kind of get some excitement generated for?
As far as the turkey stuff, or are you talking the breaking point?
Just in general,
point,
with the breaking point, everything.
Okay. Well, we've got a mini-series that actually the first episode just dropped here at 4 o'clock Central Time today, so just not too long ago. And that's strictly spring turkey hunting. We call it Breaking Spring. And Dylan Lenz, who's a business partner, he is putting that mini-series together. And it's going to be five episodes ranging anywhere from 6 to 10 minutes in length. And just turkey hunting, mostly in Wisconsin. And it should be a fun series. And we killed a lot of birds every spring. Like I said, we hunt Wisconsin a lot. Those guys don't typically leave unless we'll do a Western trip. Those guys stay up there every week. And
what's the bag limit in Wisconsin?
It's pretty much as many tags as you want to buy. They have their tag system has changed about every year for the last 10 years. I remember when I was, just getting into turkey hunting, it was you have to apply for a tag. You had to have your application in by December 11th every year.
Wow.
And you would get one season. There's 6 seasons up there. They used to run. This was when I first started hunting. They used to run, they would open on Wednesday, and then they would end on Sunday. So you'd have a 5-day season. Nobody hunts on Monday and Tuesday. So those 6 seasons would run through, and that was it. You used to, get one tag. Now, you still have to apply, but they usually have leftover tags for the last 4 seasons. So essentially, you're applying for either the first or the second season, and then you can buy as many. 3rd, 4th usually sell out. 5th and 6th, they won't even run out of tags. So you can, and even as a non-resident like myself now, because I'm down in Iowa, I'll usually, my first tag I want to say is like $80 or $90, but after that I get them for like $10 a pop or $15 a pop.
Wow. And so is it one bird per season? Is that the way it runs, or?
No. Like those seasons where you can get them over the counter usually ends up being first and second are draw only. So you got to apply for those. 3rd when they go on sale, the first day they go on sale, typically they will sell out. So those will be gone. And then 4th season, 5th season, and 6th season, if you're on your toes for 4th, you can usually get multiple tags, and 5th and 6th, you can really get as many as you want.
Wow.
The thing is, you can only buy one tag a day.
Oh yeah, so if you get on a bunch of birds, yeah, you can't go back to the sporting goods store and buy another tag and get back out.
Yeah, and that's what they're preventing by the only buying one a day.
Well, that's pretty interesting, and really that seems really reasonable for a non-resident tag.
Yeah, I know. I almost feel guilty talking about this. There's probably some Wisconsin hunters gritting their teeth if they're listening.
Yeah, you're gonna get some
making
some hate
stay out of our state.
Yeah, you're gonna get some hate mail on Facebook as soon as we're done here.
Making friends. Well, one thing you mentioned, you said ranging between 6 and 10 minutes an episode, and that's something that we talk about a lot in our private meetings, or the vision we have for our show and the length and everything. Do you guys seem to enjoy and get the best result out of a shorter length episode like that, or do you think it just caters more to turkey season to have one that length?
Well, even with the breaking point, that's kind of what Mike and Dylan have steering our fall episodes of the Breaking Point towards too is because people don't necessarily have 30 minutes to sit down and watch an episode, or even 20 minutes to watch an episode. If we can pack all of the content that we want into a show that's half the time and cut all the fluff out of there, and that's Mike and Dylan, the ones that are sifting through all of this footage, they'll be the first ones to tell you that when you're making a 22.5-minute episode for TV, you're filling fluff somewhere. And when you can cut that down, you can have the show exactly the way you want, no time constraints, and just use the footage that you feel like is worth using.
Do you think the new way that folks view their media and the way it's now being distributed in so many different places is a product of that attention span shortage, or do you think it was just the natural evolvement of technology?
I think probably a mix of both. I mean, people are cutting a cord on TV, and people also, there ain't many people that go home and sit and watch, DirecTV or Dish Network or what have you. They got, Netflix or Firefox or Roku, or I'm no expert at any of this stuff, but and then a lot of people just sit, I'm guilty of it myself. They'll get home and they'll sit down and they'll look at their phone, and all of a sudden 2 hours went past and they watched a ton of YouTube videos or whatever. And that's where the eyeballs are. And that's kind of why we went the direction that we have over the past couple years.
I have to admit that if I'm watching something on cable, any kind of recorded program, if I DVR it, I'm doing something else while I do it, whether it's, messing with laundry or, dishes or cooking or doing things around the house while I watch it. But if I spend some time and I want to pull something up on my phone to watch a 6 or 7 minute episode or 8, I spend the whole 6 or 7 minutes doing just that, whether it's on a lunch break or what have you, because it's easier for me to compartmentalize and spread out a shotgun approach of 7 minutes here, 8 minutes there, than it is to devote that entire bulk of time. And I can't imagine that I'm that much different than anybody else.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, when you're looking at something on your phone, it's something that you seeked out, you're looking for. Now, if you're on TV, you're not necessarily. It might just be something that it's on a channel that you typically might watch,
it's
but
passive
you might
almost.
not been of. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it sure is. So Brennan, tell us, man, you been out shed hunting yet this year?
Yeah. I've been out. I've had a slower than normal year. I got 34 antlers on the season, all whitetail, just around home here. But
I wish I had a slow year. That's pretty
no
good.
Kidding.
Yeah. I came off a PR last year. I found 134 last year. So.
Oh wow!
How many acres are you searching?
I walk a lot of public ground in Iowa for sheds. I do have access to a few private farms, and typically I will save those. I've got my brother and a couple other buddies that come down and shed hunt with me, so I save those for when they come. And they actually came two weeks ago now, and they had a hell of a weekend. They walked Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I had to work on Thursday and Friday, and I just can't afford to give up vacation time for sheds. So those guys went to some of those private farms without me, and in them 4 days between all of us, and those guys found the bulk of them the days I was at work. They pulled 84 antlers that weekend.
Gee whiz.
Did you keep track of? Do you chart like how many miles you actually walk on these shed hunts?
I've been slacking this year. I've been in the dumps about shed hunting this year. It's actually been pretty depressing. But because I'm pretty diehard about that. Last year I kept real good track, and I had walked somewhere around 260 miles. Wow.
Yeah. So why are you kind of in the dumps about shed season this year? Is there a certain reason?
I'm gonna sound like a shed snob here. I started shed hunting, probably got serious about it 10 or 11 years ago or something like that. And at that time, nobody shed hunted. Like nobody. I knew a couple guys, and social media wasn't a thing really. And you could go and knock on just about any farmer's door and ask them to look for, deer antlers, and they would look at you like you were just a crazy person. Like,
yeah.
You want to do what? I mean, you'd have to explain to them that antlers are falling off the deer's head this time of the year.
Yeah, some people don't even realize that.
And so anyway, back then you could get permission anywhere and walk some awesome ground and find a lot of antlers. And anymore with social media and everything else, I mean, everybody's. I mean, and don't get me wrong, it's great that people are getting outside and enjoying, shed hunting. But for a shed snob like myself, it makes it tough. I mean, I've lost permission on a lot of property because, either grandsons are looking now, or I mean, there's just everybody. And the thing that really gets me are the people that are looking for antlers to make money.
Oh, yeah, they're selling them. I've noticed that on social media a lot this year, where somebody's posting a picture of a really nice shed, and then they're basically auctioning it off on Facebook. Like, who wants to give me $200 for it? And I'm like, what?
Drives me absolutely nuts. People look at my antlers and they're like, why don't you sell these? Why don't you make stuff with them? Like, you have no idea how many hours of walking have went into these antlers. Like, I wouldn't sell the oldest, crappiest, chewed up dink that I've got. I mean, every one of them, you could pick an antler out of my stack here, and I could probably tell you within a couple of days when I picked it up, even if it was 10 years ago. I mean,
what's the biggest shed you found?
I've got one that tapes right at 75 inches, and it's missing about 5 inches. So it would have been my first 80, I think, if it wouldn't have had a busted tine.
Wow.
But that's a touchy subject too, because I've got some friends that aren't even big shed hunters that have pulled some 80 inchers, and that's like a life goal for me, is to find an 80-inch antler.
Well, let me tell you a quick story. I don't think JP doesn't know this story. I'm gonna break this story out here.
Here we go.
I went fishing. This has been probably 6 years ago. I had gone fishing, and I was kind of cleaning a mess of crappie there, and my mom was mushroom hunting at the time, and she calls me and she says, "Hey, how many points is a big, does it take to make a big deer?" And I'm
my God.
I'm like, well, you can't really tell by the points, Mom. I said, well, how big is it? She goes, well, I found a shed. It's a 6-pointer. And I'm thinking, well, that's cool, I'm thinking she found a little 3-point side,
Yeah.
She's like, well, I'll bring it by. So she comes by the house, and she's carrying this beautiful 84-inch 6-point side.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Absolutely beautiful. And she's like, is this a big one? I was like, oh my God. I said, Mom, I'm putting a gag order on you right now. We're not talking about this in front of anybody anymore. This is quiet. We're going to hide this thing. And,
Did she have a hard time with that?
My mom? Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. The best way to get my mom to quit talking is to tie her hands. She wants to talk with her hands. But no, she finds sheds every year, and she gives them to me. But this shed is just absolutely gorgeous. And it kind of went back to, there was a guy one day that he was like, man, I want to buy some sheds. I want to buy some sheds. And he actually came to my door. And I was like, well, I don't sell them. He's like, well, do you have any good-looking sheds? I'd like to at least see them. I showed him that shed, and he offered me $1,200 on the spot for it.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. $1,200, and I was like, oh no, man, I'm sorry, not for sale.
How much money did he have to just throw around?
Well, I mean, an 84-inch 6-point side, that's legit.
I understand it's legit,
but an antler buyer knows what that is worth, and he's turning around and selling that for damn near double.
Wow.
So.
Yeah. Oh,
I didn't realize that market was there. I mean, I've seen people sell them, but I didn't realize it was to that degree.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty wild.
Learn something new
but
every day.
That is not why I look for antlers.
Well, no. I mean, you want to learn more about your property and about the deer that you have on it. Well, along that line, certainly. I mean, have you found a shed this year that you think is tied into a deer you've got history with?
Yeah, I've got. I pulled a side off a buck that he was 5.5 this past fall. I call him Blade. He's just a big 10. He's mainframe 10. He's got a triple brow on the one side, a double brow on the other. Actually, he was in the field with a buck I killed with a muzzleloader back in 2016. Last year I tagged out and never really even hunted over on that farm. So he's
an old deer.
Yeah, he'll be 6.5 this coming fall if he makes it through the summer and doesn't get EHD. Knock on wood. But yeah, he's gonna be a good one. A couple of the other bucks I got coming up in the rankings, my buddy picked sides off of when they were down. Buck I call Mini Mag, which is he's gonna be 4.5 this year, and I'm gonna try like hell not to shoot him, but I don't know what's gonna happen if I see him. And other than that, yeah, I mean I got some antlers off some of the bucks that will be hunting this fall, and a couple of them that I'm really excited about that are coming up in the ranks, and should be fun.
Well, so okay, you're a self-admitted antler snob, right? So I mean,
Absolutely.
Are we safe to say
I
that?
am not
okay.
denying it.
Okay,
Yep.
so as an antler snob, you have friends come down, shed hunt
Drives,
your property.
Drives me nuts.
They
Drives me nuts.
They find a target buck sheds. Do they
They
go
take 'em
home with
home.
those sheds? Oh, they do. They do.
take them home. If I end up killing the deer, there'll probably be a trade of some sort.
Okay. Well, there's always rules on every piece of property. I just wondered how you handled that.
Yep.
Being.
And the only reason that I wait for them to come down here is because the one buddy that comes is the reason why I moved here in the first place. And he brought me antler hunting down here back in 2011 for the first time, and introduced me to the landowner that now lets me hunt. And he's the reason I'm where I'm at. So yeah, I have no issues waiting for him to come down and get first crack at sheds.
Fair enough. Well, see, I love actually just my closer inner circle of buddies that that I don't necessarily hunt all the same farms with them, but we our group basically and some other friends. I love when they will go shed hunting with me on my properties, and I don't have any problem at all with doing that.
Yep.
Number one, I feel like I learn more just taking in another opinion on certain things, and then two, I can't cover all that ground myself, or if I do, I'm getting a little old, a little weak in the knees, and, I get to aching and stuff. I like more eyes.
If I was to have said that, you'd have gotten mad.
I would have. I would take, when somebody, how much younger are you? 13 years younger than you start talking about your age.
13 years?
You're 27. Okay, 14.
Okay, yeah, let's not cut any corners now, David.
I'm not so good at the math.
well, Brennan, we've covered a whole host of topics here, but we'd be remiss if we let you go without giving you an opportunity to tell everybody where they can find more about you and more about the Breaking Point.
The Breaking Point, we're trying to be everywhere on the digital side of things, and you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram, Snapchat, B-Point TV. YouTube is a thing that we're really starting to push now. We're airing on Waypoint TV. We're airing on Carbon TV, Vimeo. These are all digital platforms that you can pull up on your phone anytime and find our content. And that's where we're at right now.
And great content it is. I know I've watched quite a bit of your guys' stuff. As a matter of fact, today I actually went in and I was on your website and I started watching some episodes, and I started watching some of the older stuff like season 1, season 2 kind of thing. And
oh yeah,
I wasn't very productive today, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
So I just started watching episodes and kind of binge watched them a little bit. So. But,
yeah, we've come a long ways. Mike and Dylan do all the editing in house, and from season 1 to where we're at now, we're just releasing our 4th season of the Turkey series, and this summer we'll be dropping our 5th season of the Breaking Point. And to see how incredible those guys have come as far as post-production and editing and even running the cameras as a crew, it's fun to watch for sure.
Awesome. Well, Brennan, you've been great, man. Hang with us through the segment. You're listening to Pro Talk Outdoors.
Hey, folks. Maybe you're out there right now and you're being really proactive and you're going ahead and getting your sets hung for your fall hunting seasons, and maybe you're cutting your shooting lanes, or possibly maybe you're not that proactive or just choose not to do that right now and you're just getting ready for turkey season. You need to have a good tool to brush in some blinds. Wicked Tree Gear has exactly what you need. Simply put, they're the longest lasting, fastest cutting, toughest tree trimming equipment you have ever used. Whether it's the handsaw, the extendable poles, or just simply the hand pruners. Can't go wrong. Go to wickedtreegear.com to check them out, and when you're checking out, be sure to use the promo code PROTALK. That's PROTALK for an extra 20% off. That's wickedtreegear.com.
Welcome back to Pro Talk Outdoors. We had a good session there with Brennan Nading of Breaking Point, and I like the idea of doing the segmented turkey stuff, making it a little smaller, more compartmentalized, and then they had a catchy name for it, Breaking Spring. It's a spin-off of their name. It's good stuff. I like it.
Oh, yeah, they have a great show. But I'm curious, you took that away from everything we talked about? You taken away by their show? That just...
Man, I wanted to talk about a show and give him props to the creativity.
And I'm talking turkey, and I'm talking sheds.
They're forward-thinking ways in the industry.
They are very forward-thinking. That's a
I can
good
appreciate
group.
it.
They are a great group and doing good things. And, man, I tell you what, I got turkey on the brain, man.
You're gonna need to get those knees straightened out before you get out there. I hear them popping and cracking.
Yeah, well, it'll work out.
At least you're sitting in a blind and you're not running and gunning as much.
Oh yeah, man, that new double bull blind that I got. We're not sponsored. I went and bought it. I fell in love with it at the ATA show.
Do you have it up in your living room? I haven't been to your house since you bought it. Do you just have it up in the living room and sitting in it?
No, contrary to popular belief, I have not been sleeping in that every night.
If you guys haven't seen it, hop online and just Googled the double bull blind. Personally,
surround view.
Yeah,
it's a surround view.
I love
version.
the 270. I think that's perfect.
It is. That's what I got. I got the 270, and it's the back side of it's blacked out. 3 sides of it, you have complete vision. It's not like you're just looking through the hole that you can shoot through. You can see through the entire part of the blind, but you can't see in it. So you're completely covered and hidden, but you can see out. There's no surprises. You're not going to get a bird or a deer or anything sneak up on you.
When we went to the ATA show and I came back, I had all kinds of folks call me or message me, hey, man, what was the coolest thing you saw while you were there? Tell me. And that was my answer for pretty much everything. Too. That and the Matthews Triax were my 2 favorite things I saw the whole time. And they said, okay, well, explain to me how that works. And this is going to be the most lame way to explain it. I referred to it as like the door of the microwave. How you can see in as to what's in there, but like microwaves and light and things don't get out and hit you.
That's one way to describe it. Here's another way. You see sometimes the back glass on a pickup truck or something.
There you go.
That you look at it and it's like it's a cool design. And you're thinking, well, how in the world can they see out of that? But you're in the truck and you can see through it.
Yeah, that's a better way to describe it. The microwave thing was the only thing I could think of, and I guess just because of the perforations, in a microwave window. But nonetheless, if you haven't, get on the internet, hit that up, and look at that. It's good stuff. But, man, we hope you check out the Breaking Point. We hope you check out In a Rut and Pro Talk Outdoors. Stay tuned here because we're about to release an awesome, awesome piece on conservation. A little project we worked on last weekend, had a great time, and we're going to challenge some folks to do the same thing we're doing. We don't want to spoil any more of it here, but you'll see more about that.
Really looking forward to getting that project kicked off.
You'll see more about that on social media really, really soon. And until next time, hook 'em or hunt 'em, Pro Talk Outdoors.
Later, guys.